Excellent. I think we're ready to go. Yeah. It should be live streaming. Is that right? Yes, it is. Hello, everyone. Hi. Let's start again, shall we? Welcome to another PMO HotHouse. Let's get going, shall we? Yeah. So, hello. How are you? How are you, Eileen? How are you, John? You well?
We are fabulous. Well, I'm sorry, speaking Friday, it was very cheeky of me. I'm fabulous. Had a great time at conference. Back to the day job this week. Back to the usual working with clients and all of that kind of good stuff. It's been quite weird being back. Freshly energized from seeing everyone. It always does that with a conference. You come back really, really energized and full of sort of inspiration from getting so many PMO people in one place.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. How about you, Eileen? I know you've been busy as well since, haven't
Well,
you?
I have, but yesterday felt like Friday, so today's a bit of a strange day. In terms of it's a non-day because Friday was yesterday, but tomorrow's Saturday, so we're just having a bit. Well, what's that word? Discombobulated today.
Yeah, but you've been doing some PMO stuff, haven't you? Doing some educating and things this week.
I have just talking to some clients about they're going through a big restructure of their PMO, which has been really interesting, and they've invited essentially all of the P3M community to learn about PMO, and it was really interesting. We had one delegate who said, "But what do the PMO actually do all day?" Which is an interesting kind of story. It just shows that there's still an awful lot of people out there, even in the P3M community, generally don't have a full understanding about what we do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's like I said, we've had a great week last week. We were in what I call the PMO Disney World bubble, because that's what it feels like to us. We're kind of like so concentrated on what's going on that you kind of forget about the outside world. So it's always really interesting to read the news and stuff when you're like on the journey back home. It's like, oh, what's been happening in the real world? It was great, and there's been a lot of photos and whatnot. But let's get into it. What actually has been going on? So the headline is that the PMO cushions actually stole the show.
I said this, did I not say this? I said this was going to be the case. The PMO cushions are there for the photographs.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, we had the conference, and we thought for today's session we should focus on that. Just first of all, though, we launched the latest Inside PMO report at the conference. It is available on the website already, and if you remember, you get access to that straight away. It's part, as long as you're logged in, you'll be able to get hold of it. We obviously, Eileen did a great session presenting on that report as well. Eileen, I'm going to put you on the spot. What was the I suppose the takeaways, top takeaways from that particular session and also the report in your opinion?
So I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, in terms of typically project controls has a higher entry point than PMO. Which I don't think is going to change going forward. So if you're coming into kind of absolutely kind of brand new, you go into PMO rather than into controls. I think the other aspect was, although controls has kind of grown and definitely got senior members in the organisation, the PMO has grown up and out. And may well over the next few years, because the third thing I would say is AI is going to have such a massive impact. And it was funny, I was watching the news last night, not the news, the television last night, and there was an advert in a company offering to come and help you kind of embed AI in your organization. And that just kind of shows where AI is. And as we go forward, I think there's going to be more and more overlap between PMO and project controls because of some of the roles that AI will kind of help to kind of automate.
Yeah. I think it's also just really good for us to be able to just make that distinction about, well, what is PMO? What is project controls? I mean, for a lot of people that have been in this space for a number of years, it's actually really good to just get that clarification. And for me, what is really interesting is that the project controls community find it equally as difficult to truly define it very well, and also to make themselves understood within their organizations. So, there's a load of overlaps, but have a look at the report. Like I said, there's a ton of stuff in there, and you know, we'll be doing another more publicly promoting that Inside PMO report in September. It's already on the events page if you want to know more about that. So one of the other things that we like to do at the conference is obviously use it as a point to be able to interact with each other, not just between the delegates and House of PMO, but actually within being able to network really well and strike up conversations and stuff. And we had this area at a conference, which again, it brings people together, gets a pen in their hand and then contributing, but it also helps us to get conversations going and meet new people and all that kind of stuff. And of course, all the stuff that is on the boards, it helps us in order to be able to bring another event to you. And we've also got one of those scheduled in a few weeks around the PMO services one. All of these things we'll be sharing because, again, these are just the kind of interesting little nuances, I suppose, around PMO that we, what do other people think? What do other people, are doing? So we'll be sharing some of that kind of stuff. But again, really good to see the engagement and really good to see so many different aspects coming out. Certainly ones where we talked about, yes, there was PMO services about what's hot, in other words, which services your organisation really utilise and value, and the ones perhaps that they don't. But interestingly, there was also a great question that didn't get as many responses, and this is what's really interesting with some of these boards. It's trying to find it, so they're not that difficult to fill in, but equally you want to be able to get some good stuff out of it. So I think there's a really great piece there about if you could put in a PMO service, i.e. from your perspective, what you think your organisation needs, but for some reason you can't, why not? So I think there's a lot of stuff to unpick there. And again, we'll be running those sessions in the coming weeks as well. So some great stuff that allow us to move the conversation on, which is what it's all about. So yes, here we go. PMO people like a bit of fun and ridiculousness. The policeman's hat went down well. PMO police, and the
God
cushions.
knows all about that, don't you, John?
Absolutely.
So, and you'll see, obviously, Eileen and I, we have a trademark thing for these photo booths. So there we were in 2016 doing the exact same thing as a PMI symposium. But it was good to see, just having a little bit of silliness. But like I think it was Mo that said in the comments, we gave out some little trophies for people as well that embraced the silliness. And of course, these great things are good back on your wall back in the project office, which is
there was a number of trophies and medals this year that I think went down very well. So we're going to certainly have to look into that for our 10th anniversary next year.
Well, yes, and that's the thing. It will be the 10th anniversary. That will be the 10th conference that we've done. So, of course, we're going to be trying to make that very special. But yeah, give us a bit of a break first. I just can't think anymore at the minute. I need to step back from it. But yeah, so that was great. So, opening and closing keynotes. We went for something slightly different this year, which was getting into. I've always wanted a opening session that can show that people that have worked in PMO can go to their highest levels within organizations. And no, that doesn't mean that it can be for everyone. But what is interesting, like they always say, it's not the end goal that's the interesting thing, it's the journey. And actually listening to Mary Beth Oskin that came over from Australia certainly gave us that in terms of the journey from working from a failed pop star office temp right up to a CEO. So it's that kind of like not so much getting into the technicalities of PMO. I mean, we've had that for a few years on an opening for the opening for the conference, and I thought actually it's quite nice to be kicking off that conference with something a bit more personal, a bit more motivational, I think, which is what went down really well. Plus, Mary Beth is also here on a book launch as well, which again, everybody in the room got a copy of that book, which is about Not Another Digital Transformation. Hands up, I've not read it all yet, but we will be sharing some of the insights there, and it is really, really interesting. It's a completely different way of thinking about things. So I'm really interested in diving more into that. And then you can see there, Kate Atkins actually closed the conference with that popular subject, imposter syndrome. So it's almost like you go throughout that entire day, listening to lots of stuff, learning lots of stuff, talking to lots of people, but still, in a lot of us, me included, you have this thing where you never think you're good enough, or all of that kind of stuff. One thing I've not asked, Eileen, John, have you had imposter syndrome? I can't imagine you have. Have you?
All the time.
Really?
Yeah, constantly.
Well, we knew last year. Last year was the first year that I actually felt like a conference speaker after eons of years of actually kind of doing sessions. Last year was the first time I actually felt like a conference speaker. So how many years have I been doing conference talks?
How about you, John? Because I don't know about, I know you both of you very well, and I just think that you two, extrovert, out there, with bags of confidence, all of that. And then there's me hiding behind you push you two to the front. But hence the reason why you'll not see me talking at a conference. But John, you as well?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. Every time I go into a new client, every time you're talking to a new client, every time you're going up on stage, certainly when it's a new topic that I'm talking about that I haven't presented on before, and you sort of have the face and demeanor of calm and confidence, but sort of inside you there's that little voice in your head going, who am I to talk to these people about their environment? They've all done this for years. They've all done it. They all know their environment far better than I do. They know their world far better than I do. What right do I have to be standing up in front of people? It's a constant thing all the time.
Yeah. Really interesting. I mean, Orion has put in the chat, but actually it's not called an imposter syndrome. It's called imposter phenomena. Can you remember that old Muppets stuff? Phenomena. It is. It's not a syndrome because it's not an illness. It's not a mental illness. It's phenomena. But yeah, so some really great stuff. And of course, we're sharing it not only with the people that were there in the conference, but over time we drip it out into members' library as well. So if you couldn't make it, you will eventually be able to see some of these, which again, as Annette's just said, something really motivational. I think sometimes we just need to make sure that we do concentrate a little bit more on some of the things that give us the cherry on top of the cake. We can learn all the technical stuff and the skills and all that kind of thing, but we know that we can make a difference if we concentrate on some of these little pieces about the kind of more behavioral, personable sides to us. So yeah, it was good. It worked. So in terms of we have got a session coming up on the 10th of July where we're going to go through exactly what we learned about the PMO conference, and we'll be sharing, from my perspective, some of the key learnings, some interesting aspects from pretty much all right across all of the sessions. But today, because of HotHouse, a little bit different, I thought let's hear from some of the
Because we'll talk for a couple of hours and then we'll be coming out to you.
Yes.
And on your tables you should have
What's going on?
you've got a little hot or not thing to hold up.
So what is going on? It was the conference, and we've got some people who have joined us today that were there in different capacities, and I thought it'd be really interesting to see what their vibes were. What did they learn? What did they take away from it? So first up, Annette, you were speaking. How did it go? What did you feel like? Would you recommend it? Just let us know what you thought.
Yes, so when you first asked me, I can't remember, a year ago, I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And as it got closer, I was like, no, what have I done? But I actually got up there and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I did have a small audience, but the audience I had were really engaged, asked great questions. And I found that since then, I've had people reaching out to me on LinkedIn and asking further questions, saying what a great session it was. And for me, it's been a real confidence booster because a bit like Eileen and John said, I really suffer with imposter syndrome. So I was there going, why does anyone want to listen to me? What am I going to tell them that's any different from what they do? So yeah, absolutely great. And I think other people should get up there and just talk about it. Give it a go, because you certainly learn.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things we try to do here is want to give people a platform to share the story. We're really interested in the story. Let's face it, with the PMO audience, they want to know like into the nitty-gritty and all that kind of stuff. So we're not looking for the keynote kind of presentation. We do want the detail. And what we've said to many people, if you're feeling like you've got something and you're not quite sure, you could even do something like this setup what we've got now, which is, you know, an hour session virtually. It doesn't have to be about getting up on the stage, but we do want to hear people's stories, because I think I'd said it. I think I've said it a lot. Is that I think a lot of the answers for PMO are not in the textbook. They're in the heads of people that have been there before and done it. And that's what we've got to try and extract, because we know it's in there. And that's a prime example and of Annette getting up there. What was the subject about, Annette? Do you want to tell people what it was about?
Oh, yes, sorry, I didn't do that. So it was vision to value. It was adding value to, for me, I've got 3 different types of PMO because I work in a consultancy business, large consultancy. So we have our internal ops and PMO, then we have a client PMO, so client facing, and then we actually go out into the client and deliver PMO as well. And I have all 3 of those teams that I look after. But just a team of 18 people. So doing that with just 18 people into the government sector.
Right.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I just say, Annette, on that photograph, it looks as though you very nicely dyed your hair orange to be
I did, yeah. I wanted to fit in, but it's kind of the colour's gone a bit now. So yeah, I wanted to fit in with you. And there was some orange flowers on my top as well, just to make sure I fitted in with the colour scheme of the conference, because I'd heard you say everybody has a bit of orange in there. So I thought, yeah, you've got to go for it.
Excellent. It's not a stipulation, by the way, but no, we really do appreciate it. We try to do it. Unfortunately, we didn't think too difficult, about thinking about the branding when we were rebranding and stuff, and went for orange rather than red, not realizing that if I'm going to wear an orange top, it looks like I work for EasyJet. But hey ho.
Well, we just know you're easy, Lindsay. That's why. So easy.
And the counter to that, I mean, obviously, at Hot PMO, we have got red, and where I find the challenge is anything involving highlight reports and RAG. Our brand is entirely red, so then I have that sort of challenge in reports and updates on things all the time. So that's the opposite view of having the problems with having red.
I find it really interesting, the whole brand thing, because I really love hearing about organizations, PMOs that I've got a brand. I live it in this day and age, anything where you can catch attention. You've got to have substance. We know that, obviously, but it is an interesting question about, does your PMO have a brand? We've seen presentations over the years where they definitely have, like a color scheme, or they've got a certain font, or, you know what I mean? I just find it really interesting, that attention to detail. But thank you very much, Annette. People will be catching up on your session, and we certainly will be as well, and sharing that a little later down the line. One of the things that we always do as well at the conference is try and get some people actually emceeing. What does that really mean when you're a room MC? Well, Aaron stepped up to the plate this year. Aaron, you tried it out for the first time. What did you think? Was it a good way to get involved in a conference, do you think? Would you recommend it?
Let me first say that you missed the back of my head where my hair is also orange. No, I mean, listen, I had an absolute blast. It was the first conference for me. Lindsay, you kindly gave me an opportunity to get involved straight off the bat, and I grabbed it with both hands. So a fantastic event. There are 2 things that really stood out for me. There was one in terms of how it was organized, and then there was one about how it just naturally ran on the day. And you've kind of covered it already with Mary Beth's opening and Kate's closing. I felt that was a really nice personal wrap to the event, when everything else about the day is about us being outwardly focused to our businesses, to our customers, on the roles that we perform and the services that we provide to others all day long. And the breakout sessions quite rightly had a focus on those things. But I felt that the opening for Mary Beth about this is where you could go as an individual, and then Kate's closing about there's nothing stopping you, you can absolutely get there, you're absolutely good enough. I felt that was a really nice kind of personal wrapper to the whole day, and it kind of made the whole thing about us as well as as well as customers we serve. So that was a really great highlight for me. I think the second thing that I noticed just during the day is, great speakers, great delegates, and there was a real genuine feel of everyone supporting everyone else who was there. There was no hierarchy. There was no, I know everything and I'm going to talk at you. It was a real kind of collaborative day. People really took the time to listen and really understand what was going on. And, I had an absolute blast running the breakout room. And I noticed that, we finished the sessions largely on time, but every time there was a queue of people who had questions for the speakers, and the speakers, to their credit, answered every single question. And in fact, some of the speakers who had said to me previously that, they'll need to rush off after their session, actually saw them hanging around for later sessions because they wanted to listen to other people speaking, because of the level of engagement and the amount of energy that we had in the room.
Yeah.
So fantastic event, a great personal touch, a great lineup, a real genuine feel of supporting our own. And it was nice to bring a bit of fun to the breakout room and have some laughs with the audience as well. So thank you for making me feel so welcome, and love to do it again in the future. Yeah,
brilliant. And we're certainly going to be taking you up on that, because I think I think PMO people make great hosts, to be fair, and the amount of attention to detail and stuff in terms of making speakers feel like that you've got their back and all of that kind of stuff. It's you did a great job. Thank you very much, and hopefully we'll see you in Edinburgh. But if anybody else is interested in, it's a really nice way to experience the conference and perhaps have a think about it, because we'll certainly be looking for people for the next conferences. So thank you very much, Aaron. That's fantastic. Each year we also have reporters. Again, different skills, different people that might be good for this. And Moni not only was reporting, but she also got up on stage as well. Good for you, Moni.
Talented.
It was nothing short of exhilarating. Without thinking about it, I saw the relevant topic. I'm like, okay, I'm going to share my experience, because it's been a good experience going through this journey. And I hope we get out of it, really positive and having good news. But as far as the PMO conference is concerned, I had a chance to attend the two days. We were 2 last year. This year we were 3, and I'm really hoping that we are going to be 3 again in the Edinburgh conference. So that's good. PMO conference takes us out of our comfort zones. 3 takeaways that I have: we were not know-it-alls. We were learn-it-alls during this conference. It gave us a chance to network with our kindred souls or kindred spirits from the PMO. And of course, there was good food, good conversation, and good goodies. Specifically for me, this conference was relevant because I attended the session specifically, and I'm reporting on AI, PMO and AI, Microsoft Copilot, and then attending Annette's session. Very insightful. And the main takeaway or action item that I have is, how do I get the balance between the human skills that we have in PMO and the technology that is not emerging, it's already there and is taking us by storm through our work. So a lot of action items for me. I am sharing it with the rest of my PMO and the project managers later in July. So hopefully we will encourage more participation next year.
Yeah.
And really glad to be there.
And the other job as well that you had is that you put yourself forward as a PMO conference reporter, and essentially what that is that people you choose the sessions that you want to listen to, and then all we want is your insights written up afterwards, so we can then share them with the wider community. So again, we're not looking for people that are experienced writers. We just want people to write from the heart, really.
Yeah,
so
definitely. Yeah.
So
I have that due coming soon, Lindsay, so it'll be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're looking forward to it again. Moni is asked if she could speak at Edinburgh. So, we'll be hearing all about their story in Edinburgh. So, yeah, thank you very much for taking part and, getting up there and trying it. And then finally, from the perspective, I don't think many people realise that we have a big exhibition obviously there's tool providers, trainers, and all that kind of stuff. I don't think many people realise that we have it. Not only to be useful for people looking for, products or services or whatever, it actually allows us to put the conference on and keep the price at something that is reasonable. Essentially, these guys are pretty much paying for the space and all the rest of it. And these are the exhibitors. And John, you were there as an exhibitor. I'd be really interested. What kind of stuff were people asking about? What's on their minds?
I mean, we love being exhibiting at at your conference. It's fabulous. We go to other conferences as well, but this one's the one that really connects us directly with sort of heads of and directors of the PMO space, which is exactly the people we love talking to. So conversations that I was sort of picking up from people this year, there were lots of very small PMOs this year. So lots of sort of the PMOs of one around, and lots of people who just sort of, I think those kind of people the conference is really important for, because they sort of they get oxygen from it. You're in an organization, you feel like you're the only PMO person. You're trying to be that governance and having that sort of governance sort of face off to the project managers, whilst at the same time helping them. And it's kind of exhausting playing both sides all the time. And then you come to a conference like yours and everybody there gets it. Everyone understands what PMO is about, what it's like day to day, and as you said, not just the people that are sort of you're having coffee and snacks with, but the people on stage, the people running the room. Everybody understands it, and you see people certainly by lunchtime. People are sort of really sort of energized, excited, and sort of breathing that in. And you have conversations about how they're going to do things back in the office, and the ideas firing off, which is absolutely fantastic. So lots of those sort of energy and I'm with my people type conversations going on. General sort of themes that were coming up for me. So people having sort of growing pains, tooling. We've got a tool. Are we making the most use of it? What is coming out that's new from the tools, PPM tool space? And of course, AI was ever present. Lots of conversations about AI. The reality is that everybody is using AI in their organizations, either officially or more often than not unofficially using things themselves. So if your organization doesn't have formal strategies for AI, then chances are you'll find that people are doing it outside of your formal strategies and things anyway at the moment. So it might be a good time to try and get some arms around that. And the other thing I sort of picked up in terms of what people are playing around with it and using it for, it's a lot more about documentation than it is about what we were thinking about a year ago, sort of machine learning and building these sort of leading indicators from big data sets. A lot of it is generating documentation. I guess that was probably another one just for PMO people to watch out for, is are you seeing an improvement in the sort of I don't know, the grammar and the wordsmithery sort of quality of reports coming in from project managers and documentation being produced. If so, that's great, but just be mindful of the things we know about with it. Are we seeing hallucination in there, and are we actually seeing some documentation that looks good but is actually quite vacuous in terms of what it's actually telling about the projects? Just a few things sort of that were coming up and springing out for me at the conference. In terms of the actual talks themselves, one of the downside of being on the stand, I normally sort of try and bring a team. It was just me with Dale this time. That's Dale in the pink in the picture there. Dale went to all the sessions. I was mostly staying with the stand. So I am waiting for the videos to land on the House of PMO website, so I can actually go back through those now and find out what I missed. But the Mary Beth one, everyone said that was fantastic. So the moment that drops on your website, I'm going to be all over that.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so that's just getting some insights from other people. And honestly, I've not asked them to say how amazing this conference is, by the way. Okay, so this is not what that was about. They've just chosen what they wanted to talk about. Okay, but we do really appreciate. Thank you very much. One of the things that we did at the conference is that, again, trying to get some interactivity going. So we thought, for the final bit of today's session, let's see if we can get this. So this could fall flat on its face, but I've got hope. You know, hopefully we motivated you to be able to have the confidence to take part in this. We had something called 4 plinth. We put pictures out about it and told it. But if you're not aware, we thought we're at Trafalgar Square. Anybody who knows London, there's 4 plinths in it, and one of them's been empty for a number of years, and they keep putting random things on it. We thought, we're in London, let's do this kind of interactive session where we could potentially get an audience member to come up and you know, answer a question alongside our 3 experts, who were John and Eileen, and also Hans. And then essentially we had polled people, you know, what questions they got. We had these call in real time, these questions coming up, we were choosing them, and then basically getting them on stage and saying, right, okay, this is the question, let's go. So that's what it was. And interestingly, the day before at PMO Learn, we had a session on public speaking, and speaking with confidence in public, should I say, as well, which was really good because it kind of obviously dovetailed into the day where we're saying anybody who'd been fired up perhaps to get up there, had that opportunity. So we thought we'd have a go with some of the questions that we got on the day that we didn't use on the day, and just see what today our experts, but also you, feel about some of these. So I'm just going to take Anders' place, not that I know much about anything. However, do we want to have a go? Hopefully we can use
give it a go.
stuff or whatever. Yeah, let's have a go. So first question. What's the best way to keep a PMO team motivated and engaged, especially as we're going through another reorganisation with lots of uncertainty? And to be fair, we did actually use this question on the day, but I quite like this question because I keep hearing this a lot. So, Eileen, John, like we've had this before. So, do you want to kick off? One of you two?
Yeah, I mean, 2 things immediately leap out for me. One is making. So I've just seen Aaron's. One is who said free food. Making space for learning, building time in, and enabling people and empowering people to learn. It's important in all jobs, but I think even more so in the PMO, where you're working so closely with project managers, project teams, and sponsors who have got so much going on that they might not be across everything in the world of PMO, so project management. So giving the PMO time to actually absorb that learning, think how they can apply it to their environments is really, really important. It keeps them energized and inspired because they're learning all the time, but it also means they've got that information to disseminate to make the organization a better place as well. I think the other thing that's really, really important is the big picture and telling that story. It's quite easy as a PMO analyst, I think, or an administrator, to get stuck in the grind of the day job. I'm taking information, I'm processing it, I'm creating a deck, I'm churning spreadsheets, I'm creating finance reports. And when you get into that sort of zone, you can quite easily not be thinking about the bigger picture and just think all I'm doing is crunching data the whole time. And I think bringing it back to the big picture all the time, the organizational context, the difference it's making, why we're doing it, why it's valuable, what the outcomes of the projects that we're doing are, I think is also really, really helpful. It just takes people out of that and understand and reminds people that what they're doing has a purpose, there's a reason we're doing this, and it's making the organization a better place.
Okay, super. We've got hands up. Hooray! Aaron, what do you want to answer?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what I was saying about the conference as a whole, right, is giving it that personal wrap. So those of us that are in roles where we are leading PMOs, we're not managers, we're leading. We are people leaders. And so let's make sure that there's a personal wrap around that. Let's make it about the people. My role in my team is to remove the roadblocks so that the wider team of the PMO can come along and do what they do best. And I often say that my role is not so much head of PMO, it's head of common sense. I think a big percentage of what PMO does is common sense. And when you leave all the emotion outside the room and you look at the data and the facts you have in front of me, or in front of you, and you use a good amount of common sense, you're going to add value to that situation. So I think make it about the people, make it about the individuals. They're in the role because they know what they're doing. So clear the roadblocks, let them do their thing, and just guide them along the right path and keep things moving forwards. So make it personal, make it about the people.
Love it. We like the head of common sense. If only there was a really great training course that you could learn it. this common sense stuff.
Sadly not.
Brian?
I am here. I don't know, my video keeps shutting off, so if it does, it does. Vision and why, because if people don't understand how they fit into the big picture, so John mentioned that, and I think if they don't see the value they're contributing, that is a tricky thing, because you're dealing with people. It's a people thing, right? Motivation is a people thing. You had a session about experience, and I think, you know, how people are feeling and being tapped into that can tell you whether they are struggling with, is it overarching messaging? Is it resources? Is it the, you know, the part that they play other people don't get? You know, because sometimes you could be doing all the work and you're motivated, but you're pushing against a brick wall because the rest of the organization isn't ready for those changes. So I think that communication isn't just to the PMO, it's to the whole organization. The thing with the PMO is you can't fool them. They're clever people and they join the dots. So if you're going to not be transparent about what's going on as leadership, they're going to get there anyways, and they're going to react as humans do to a situation. You know, you can't. They need to feel it. It needs to be an internal motivation, not coming from an external force. So there you go.
Yeah,
that's
brilliant.
me.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we are dot joiners and indeed boundary spanners. Hooray! It's almost like we try and get that in on every episode.
I think there's some iconography we need to work on with boundary spanners, I think.
We love it. Let's have another question then. So this one didn't get used, but it was a great question. We just ran out of time. We could have carried on going for ages, but here's a second one. What are the top tips to make an PMO, enterprise PMO, truly strategic and create undisputable value for CEOs? It's good, isn't it? Good question.
I have to put my hand up.
Hey, you're going to go first, Eileen?
I think the interesting bit, and I've just been some of the conversations I've been having recently as well, is about not just focusing on project delivery, but focusing on benefits realization, and actually kind of recognizing we're there to help the organization deliver their strategy, which isn't just kind of seeing projects implement. It's actually kind of delivering benefits to the organization. Alexa, shut up. He was joining in. So yes, focus on benefits, not just project delivery, I would say.
Yeah, very good. You can see nobody else has got their hand up. Is this because it's a hard question? This would have been good on the day. Annette, hey, go on. What's your top tips?
I'm going to say it's also about the culture of the company as well, and the culture of the PMO. So it's making sure that you fully understand the culture, that you've got the right people in place, but you also empower the leadership. So that you're working with the leadership team to make sure that they feel empowered, that you give them the right answers to the right questions that they're asking, and that they can trust in you as well to help with that strategic leadership that you've got to give to help add value to your CEO. So I'm kind of looking at it from a slightly different angle, because I don't do it for a CEO, but with the size of our company, it is very similar. And you've got to know your strategy, your company's strategy, and make sure that you align to it. And that you add that value in there. You know what initiatives are key at the moment. You know what's going to change. So, you know, you might have a strategy that's going this way, but something comes along and blows it out the water. So like for us at the moment, the election came along, blew everything out the water. And we've had to kind of change our strategy and be looking at something very different. So it's making sure that you're always got your finger on the pulse. That's it.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Aaron, do you want to go again?
Yeah, just to follow on something Annette was saying about, and this might be a little bit contentious or just a different opinion, about, you know, the CEO may ask a question and the EPMO providing an answer to that question. I might come at it from a slightly different angle and say that the CEO would come to the EPMO with a problem statement or a situation that is occurring, or a place that the business wants to be. And the PMO's role is to provide the right level of information and the right insights so that the CEO or the C-level board can make the decisions themselves on what to do and where to go and where to take the company. So perhaps not so much about giving a direct answer to a direct question, but about providing the insightful information without the emotion. I'm a big fan of this. I keep saying it again and again. Leave the emotion outside the room. Come into the room with data, with facts, with information that people can trust. And then the C-suite have the information available, and then they can make the right decisions, whatever they might be. So perhaps a slightly indirect way of providing insightful information rather than direct answers to questions. Just a slightly different take on it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. And Greg, Greg's a first-time visitor. Hi, Greg.
Hi, everybody. How are you doing? Yeah, just to add to that, thanks, guys. I guess the PMO will need to make sure that there are the right processes and metrics in order to evaluate what the benefits are, because depending how I work in investment banking and on the IT side of trading systems and stuff, and sometimes the architecture can be overwhelming and complex. So it's about having, because there's always a huge list, a wish list of projects coming through, and so how do we properly evaluate what aligns to a wider company strategy and what doesn't? So it's about having those mechanisms and change control forums where you can have subject matter experts evaluating what the new projects are, so they can prioritize them correctly, and then you can then make informed evaluation of whether these projects align to the strategy. Because I mean, I've been in places before where obviously everybody's screaming for a specific system or an upgrade to a specific system because it's causing all kinds of problems. And then due to sort of pressure, okay, let's go ahead with this project and upgrade it. But then the company strategy is to kind of decommission this avenue. So you're spending all this time to deliver a project that's going to give you 4 or 5 years worth of benefit that was always going to be decommissioned. So are we going to invest all that money for a short-term gain, or are we actually going to hold the fort for a couple of years and then replace the whole suite which is in line with a strategy? So it's about having those processes where you can properly measure those kinds of things. Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, excellent. And John, you get the final word as a final expert. So what's your advice?
And there's loads of great stuff there. I'm just going to bring it back to good stakeholder management, I think, really. Think about who the key people are the strategic thinker. So is it a chief product officer? Is it a CFO? Is it CIO? Whoever it is that you're actually working with at that strategic level. Think about what they really need from projects, what the big strategic items are that they're focused on, and think about the lens that they're therefore looking at the project's portfolio through. And then think about how you can help them understand it and how you can help communicate information in the way they want. Because you see a lot of talking different languages with project management, where the PMO and project managers are quite prone to talk about the language of projects versus the language of business, and being able to really understand where those people are coming from, be able to transcend those boundaries and put it into their context and ways they understand are the things that will, I think, really help get you on board with them and make them see you as a strategic partner, rather than somebody who is churning out reports and information that they have to then translate themselves, I think.
Okay, brilliant. I like this session. I think we should keep this. Brilliant. Yeah. I like it very much. And there's some more questions that we didn't use, but like I said, we're getting questions all the time just by talking to people and all that kind of stuff. So I think we should definitely have this session again, because it's just great to hear other people's perspectives. So I'm just going to whiz through. We're not looking at that one. We'll do it next time. We're coming to the end of a session. What we didn't mention, of course, in this whole 2-day thing was PMO Learn. I mentioned a little bit in terms of the public speaking one, but again, classroom, 120 people in the room, all learning about different themes, different topics. And again, we will be sharing all of this with you. There is that session coming up on the 10th of July where we will get into some of the specifics of what people were sharing. So if you're really interested in that, please do just book on, go back onto the events page. It's summer's coming up. We've kind of got like a mix of things that we've done before, plus some new events. So let's go and check them out. We've got them putting them on as we speak. And the next one is a watch party. In other words, this is something that we've done before, but again, we kind of watch along. And it's an introduction to portfolio management that we did as part of the higher education virtual conference, which again, nice short 30-minute session there to give you some of the, I suppose, the basics, the 101 of portfolio management. And of course, just talking about conferences, we're fully full steam ahead for Edinburgh. We're really looking forward to it. We've got our keynote sorted. We're going to be launching that 15th of July, which means that there's a preview rate. So really good rate at the minute. That's it. I think we've finished another hour session. Bang on the nose. It's 1 o'clock. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, Eileen, and to Annette, and to Aaron, and to Moni for coming in and just sharing their stuff. And of course, you for having a go with the plinth. Just remember what we've talked about here. If you've got a story, get in touch with us. Yes, it's you don't need to be a cracking speaker. We just want to extract what it is that you've been learning experience-wise, because I'm sure you've got some great stuff that other people could learn from you. So without further ado, we done? Yeah? See you later.
Thank you. Take care. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.